Diane, let's bring you back on because you've got a bit more to say about COVID.
Yeah, Brian, I just want to say that if there is anyone out there who does believe that we shouldn't look back and hold people to account for what they did to us in 2020 and 2021, there are so many reasons to show why we can't move on, because they're still using applied behavioral psychology to create fear in us. And there, again, that chaos and breakdown that you've been talking about during the news that we've been working so hard to make people aware of. And COVID is still an example of what they're continuing to use, the media and the lies that continue. We can't leave behind the vaccine damaged, those who have lost loved ones due to the vaccines. And I do this for my mother, who was killed on a ventilator in December of 2021. So we're seeing now some mainstream sources talking about this. It was a small study, but still significant that it's out there in the mainstream, from Yale, saying that these scientists have linked the jabs to an alarming new syndrome, as they said in the title here from the Daily Mail, causing distinct biological changes to the body. They've talked about the spike protein being around in people and all these things that they mentioned, the details. They're calling it post-vaccination syndrome, according to these researchers. And I know that for UK column viewers, this will not be new, but I think it's significant to see that some of this is starting to go out into the larger public. I think it's just becoming harder to hide. And I'm sure that almost everyone knows someone who's been negatively impacted by these jabs. And also, we now have a new relative to COVID that might be coming out, according to these researchers from China. They have found a new virus that could infect humans in the same way as COVID-19. It's called HKU5-CoV2, saying that this virus, I'm saying that with inverted commas, does not enter human cells as readily as the SARS-CoV-2 does. But they did report that it was a bat virus. So this is starting to sound familiar. And we see on the next slide here a very cartoony looking graphical abstract of the virus and how it can spread between different types of living beings. To me, again, looks very cartoonish, but this is from the journal Cell. And you can see the actual abstract and the graphical abstract, which will be linked in the show notes if you really want to see it. There's some things I've come across just in the last few days. I did not know until this weekend that there is a COVID National Memorial Wall, which is in London. It apparently stretches for 500 meters alongside the River Thames, directly opposite the Houses of Parliament. There are more than 240,000 individually hand-painted red hearts, each representing a person who died in the UK with COVID as a direct cause of death. It was done by a campaign group called the COVID-19 Bereaved Families for Justice, and they organized the mural to give a visual representation to each life lost. There's a photo of Keir Starmer from March of 2021 when he visited this particular mural. And I just want to quote what he said. This was in the Sky News article. Remember that Boris Johnson was still the prime minister, and Keir Starmer said, the prime minister should meet the families and not just listen. The most powerful thing about meeting the families is hearing what they have to say. And I think we owe it to every single family to hear them and to hear them properly. Okay, then, Keir Starmer, come talk to families, find out what's happened to us. So also, just in case you need something to do on the 9th of March, it is the COVID-19 Day of Reflection, according to the UK government. The UK Commission on the COVID Commemoration was set up a few years ago to find appropriate ways to remember those who lost their lives since the so-called pandemic began, and to explore how we mark this period of our history. After some consultation with people who were impacted, they decided that a day of reflection would be appropriate. And this is going on for a few years, and this year's is on the 9th of March. And if you want to know what you can do on the COVID Day of Reflection, I have a video from the government that will show you exactly how to celebrate.
2025 marks 5 years since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. And on Sunday the 9th of March, people across the UK will once again join together for a day of reflection. It's a time to remember those who lost their lives, the sacrifices made by many, and the impact that the pandemic had on us all. There are a lot of ways that you can take part in the Day of Reflection, whether it's organising your own ways to remember in your community, joining a local event, or remembering in your own way at home. You can take part in a way that feels right for you. Explore the Day of Reflection website to find ways to remember. 2025.
And I think Brian, I'll just leave it there. I don't have anything else to say to that. I have no words.
I don't blame you, Diane. Well, truly terrible. But if we sum up our news today, we are absolutely saying, we're looking our audience in the eye and saying to you are being attacked by your own government and its agencies. This is becoming ever more clear. And of course, fear and anxiety of two of the key weapons used by those behavioural insight teams. We're absolutely going to stay on this theme, and we're going to be lifting the lid wherever we can. We must end it there, though. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are in the world. And if you do some research, make sure you get yourself out and about in the fresh air. Relax and take pressure off wherever you can. And the other thing is stay cheerful in doing what you're doing, because we know that Keir Starmer and his team really hate anybody in this country who is still happy. So I'll leave you to think about that. We'll be back in a few moments for UK Column Extra. If you remember, please join us then. Bye-bye.